Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of How I Take Notes miniseries here on YouTube. Today we'll be talking about how I take notes on my iPad. I'll give you the tour of the application that I use and also all of the tips and tricks that I have picked up over the years. As I said, this is the 3rd episode of this series, so if you guys have missed the previous ones, I'll link them up in the eye. Make sure to go ahead and watch them before this one. It will make a lot more sense for you that way. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. First off, let's address the supplies that I use. So I have the 11-inch iPad Pro that I got very recently, and it was super duper expensive. However, it's even faster than my MacBook, and that's just kind of crazy, so I love it. And then I have the 2nd generation Apple Pencil to go along with it because the 1st generation one does not work with my iPad apparently. Thanks, Apple. And then the note-taking program that I use, first of all, is OneNote. It's completely free, and I use this to go ahead and annotate all of my notes that I type on my laptop. And then my main application for note-taking is GoodNotes 5, which is amazing. I absolutely love it. However, it does cost around $10. But don't you worry, guys, because in this video, well, at the end of this video, I'm going to be doing a GoodNotes 5 giveaway so that you guys can win GoodNotes 5 for free and start digital note-taking. So get excited! There are 2 situations where I take notes on my iPad. The first one is the ideal situation, what happens most of the time, and that is when before I go to class, I make an outline of what we'll be learning during the class on my laptop by typing, and then during the actual class, I just annotate it on my iPad and I add extra information. So my focus during the class isn't note-taking, but is listening to the lecture. So whenever this happens, I will use Microsoft OneNote because that's where I type all of my notes. I'll go into the Draw tab and then use the feature Insert Space, and then I'll tap anywhere on the screen and drag down, and this will add space in between paragraphs, and I use the space to add any relevant information provided by my professor, and I also annotate my notes and highlight anything that is important, and I try to format my notes even further to make them as effective as possible. Moving on to the second situation, which is the not so ideal one, and that is when I haven't done anything before the class and I'm supposed to do all of my note-taking and understanding, listening during the class at the same time. This is when I use my favorite application, which is GoodNotes 5, and the first step for me is to make a notebook for each subject. I decided to create a new notebook just to show you guys how it goes. So first of all, you're able to choose between a ton of covers, which isn't essential, but I think it's fun. And also you have a ton of paper types, which I think is super valuable. You have Cornell types. You can also make planners, to-do lists. I most of the time stick with normal grid paper, but it's nice to have a huge selection. Then once I create the notebook, I go ahead and make sure that I write the subject on the cover of the notebook so that later when I'm accessing it, it's just easier to find because the subject is right on top of it. Now let's talk about the actual note-taking process. So first I'll select a thicker marker and then I'll write the title, and then I put 2 highlighter blocks on the side and I change the color of those highlighters for every single chapter. So this is where I want to talk a little bit about the highlighter tool. So it has this option in here which says draw in straight line. If you turn it off, it will work normally. However, if you turn it on, it will automatically straighten your highlights, and I think it's really cool because it makes my highlights look a lot neater. In the app, you're able to save 3 of your favorite pen thicknesses, so I'll choose the one that I normally use for taking notes and start writing. The tool that I use the most while writing is probably the eraser tool, and this is the tool that made me choose GoodNotes over other applications, so I really want to show you the features. So if you turn off all of the features, it will work like a normal eraser. However, if you turn on erase entire stroke, with one tap you'll be able to erase the whole stroke, which is really handy. It also has an option which allows you to erase the highlighter only, which I think is really handy because the text on top, the notes that you've taken, do not erase with that. And also, my favorite feature is the auto deselect feature. Essentially, after you're done erasing and you lift up the pen, it automatically switches to the pen tool. And I love this so much that I really wanted to show you guys this in action. So let's say you were writing something and then you made a mistake. So you select the eraser tool and you erase. And once you lift up the pen, you're able to start writing again. And this is so cool. I think this saves me so much time, especially when I have professors that talk super fast. Another hack that I have for you is a double tap hack. If you have the Apple Pencil 2, you're able to double tap on the side of the pencil, and by doing that you'll switch between the eraser and the pen tool, which is a little bit faster than manually selecting it. Another tool that I use all the time while taking notes is the shape tool. This is an absolute lifesaver because it automatically straightens all the shapes that you draw, because as you guys can see, the shapes that I draw look like trash. So this tool also has another feature that I love, which is called fill color. And basically when you draw a shape, it fills it with a much more opaque and lighter color, which I really like. This is kind of my alternative for using sticky notes in GoodNotes 5, and I think it's really cool. I'm able to put the most important information in these little boxes and draw attention with color, and this is so much better than having to highlight all of the formulas or all of the information inside the box. It looks a lot neater. So this is how I used it for some of my math formulas. I just wanted to emphasize them, so I just put them in a box. Moving on, let's talk about the LASSO tool, which literally makes digital note-taking so much more flexible. And literally, after using this tool, I just can't go back to normal paper notes. So it gives you the ability to, first of all, move things around, and then you also can resize things and rotate things, which gives you even more flexibility. You also get the ability to recolor your notes, which is really, really useful during note-taking, and I use this feature a lot. Let's also talk about some other tools that GoodNotes 5 has. One of them is importing pictures, which can be super important if you want to make your notes visual. You also have the ability to type in GoodNotes 5. However, if you are going to be mainly using the typing feature, I would highly recommend that you get another application, because GoodNotes 5 is really all about using a stylus on your iPad. Now let's talk about some tips and tricks that I want to share with you. So the first one is to use the zoom tool to write much more neatly. Essentially, this gives you a much bigger surface to write your notes on, which makes your notes a lot neater. And overall, this is great to improve your handwriting in your notes. If you have a really ugly handwriting like mine, you will absolutely adore this feature, I promise. My next tip is to take advantage of all the bookmark and outline features that GoodNotes 5 gives you. So first of all, you can access a little outline of your notebook and be able to jump around pages and see previews of all of your pages. Also, you have the ability to have bookmarks. So essentially, you can just bookmark pages that have formulas on them or important things on them, and you'll be able to find them a lot more easily. You can also make an outline for your notebook. I would personally recommend adding the first page of every chapter to that outline so that you can easily access all of the chapters without having to scroll and scroll endlessly, which is so much handy, especially when you're revising for exams. Another tip that I have is to customize all of the settings on your application, whether you will be using GoodNotes or not. Here you can customize the scroll direction. You can also change up where you place the toolbar. Another thing is to adjust the writing position, because that can really improve the experience that you have while using the app and while note-taking. And the last tip that I have for you is to use the iPad for practice questions. For whatever reason, I know a lot of people who take notes on the iPad but do practice questions on paper, which is just so inefficient, because first of all, you make a lot of mistakes and then you have to erase them and it becomes a mess. And also because if you have the iPad, you may as well try to save the environment and use less paper. Now let's get into the GoodNotes 5 giveaway, which I'm so excited to announce. So there will be 3 winners, and 3 of you guys will be able to win a GoodNotes 5 copy. The giveaway will end on the 12th of September, and you can enter using the link in the description box. Also, make sure to let me know in the comments down below if you guys would want to see a video comparing GoodNotes 5 and Notability, because I've been asked about that a lot. And of course, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode, and turn on your notifications. And have a great day. I'll see you guys super soon with another video. Bye!